Before we start this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast, I wanted to remind you that the Complete Wedding Videography course will be opening for enrollment on November 14th. In this course, we cover it all: business, shooting, and editing. If you'd like to test drive the course, head over to CompleteWeddingVideography.com. There you can download a section, watch some exclusive BTS from a real wedding, and snag our wedding day questionnaire all for free. This course is designed to take your wedding filmmaking business to the next level. Again, that website is CompleteWeddingVideography.com, and we will be opening enrollment on November 14th. Now let's start this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast.
Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Blake, the editor, and we're super excited to present to you part 2 of our Venture Workshop live Q&A. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, make sure you go back to last week's episode and start there so that you can come back to this episode and know exactly what's going on. Without any further ado, let's jump into that episode right now.
Yeah. Next question. Yes. You balance professional growth and family balance.
You got a question about Da Vinci or something like that? I can answer you. Like,
what are the export settings for an Instagram Reel in 2022?
Oh, jeez.
No, I have a really good answer for this. There's actually a lot of books that talk specifically about this. I feel like over the last year, I've been reading a lot of stuff about creativity and about business and things like that. And basically, the biggest thing to remember is it's like you're juggling. That one of the best examples is you're juggling. What are these things that you're juggling? Your life, your work, your family, your health. There's all of these things that you're juggling. You just have to know which ones are rubber balls and which one are glass balls. If you drop the ball that's your family, that one could potentially shatter, or at least get cracked. If you drop work, we're entrepreneurs, we're business owners, we're humans that can go get a job pretty quickly, hopefully. And that one is a rubber ball that can bounce back. And so constantly just looking at it and weighing the value of each, the fragility of each, and seeing which one's glass and which one's rubber is really good. It's also another great example that I heard on this is when you're balancing. So say you're standing on one leg and you're balancing and you're just trying to like a ballerina pose. I'm imagining you as in a ballerina pose right now. When you're up there is so much micro movements that your ankles are doing to keep you there. You're not up there and just stiff and fragile and completely balanced. You're micro moving, and I feel like that's the best way that I could explain how it looks in when we're in healthy places. I feel like sometimes we fall into really extreme family, that's where most of our focus is, and then we can sometimes swing back in. But some of the best ways that I've heard it is you're micro moving. How are you from day to day? What am I looking at? I'm micro moving through this balancing act. So that's my favorite way to answer that.
One
Really
thing,
good, by the way. Yeah, that was a really good answer.
that was
Good job.
That was really good.
Quoting you, not the book.
Yeah. One thing that I've learned lately is in life we kind of have like with family life, we have these things that we strive to be, these things that we say are kind of like our core beliefs. We're always going to eat dinner at the dinner table. We're not going to have any phones, for example. Like that's the idea. But how consistent we are with that, maybe that's what we all want and we agree upon, but then the follow through with that, we mess up with that. And so giving yourselves a little bit of grace in saying these are what we value, and then if we go a week where we have phones at the table, or we're not eating at the whatever, you're like, hey, no, this is our value, let's come back to that and kind of recircle on that stuff. For one of the biggest things that I have learned as far as family life, work balance, and all that stuff, the more communication that you have, the more open and honest that you are with your partner, your friends, whoever, the better it's going to be. And I think you would hear all of us saying up here that while our work definitely matters to us and that stuff, it's definitely not as, oh, I am going to stay up really late and I'm going to miss this or I'm going to miss that, like we would have done 5 years ago or 7 years ago, because we just learned more. And when I have gone through times of that where I was just really busy, my wife and I would like talk with each other and set rules. One thing that we say in our mastermind is if you have a massive backlog of, I don't know, 18, 19, something, right?
That's pretty massive.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah.
It's like, what's wrong with that?
No. But whenever you have those backlogs and stuff, and you have a family that you need to work, like maybe you sit down and say, okay, the next 3 months is going to suck. Okay, I am going to work until midnight. I'm going to get up at 6, whatever. But if you put a light at the end of the tunnel, it's doable. Like, I can work really hard and it can be awful for a time, but if you talk about those things and you communicate with that has helped me and my wife in our relationship. Yeah. Anyone else want to answer this or want to go to something else?
I like those. I just have one thing to add, and it's short, but it's just work hours. Like, we deserve set work hours, and that's something that I've been strict with ever since I really got serious about this. Is I'm an 8:30, 9 to 5er, sometimes 5:36, but at the end of the day, I am not a videographer. I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and I need to be present there. My family is everything to me, and we can shut off our job. And if I get an email or an email on the weekend, it's like, outline those expectations and don't stand by them. I think that's something that, like, I love having that. It's like, work text at night, I'll get it tomorrow. I'll be in the office tomorrow. Like, right now, my husband matters. Right now, being with him matters. And obviously we slip up sometimes, but I find myself always coming back to. But I love the previous answers too.
Good answer.
One little thing I was going to add to that is I've kind of made a commitment to Heather, my wife, like, when I'm at work or doing, you can always interrupt me. You always have first place, like that relationship is always first place. So you can bug me, you can walk into anything and everything always. But I want to be fully present when I'm working, and I will promise you back that when I'm not working, I'm going to be fully present with the family. I'm plugging my phone in the other room. I'm just family time, like that kind of stuff, those boundaries. And I, like Nick said, you get outside of those boundaries and you can apply this to anything that you're doing in your business life. But correct. But yeah, like to me, I've just gotten I plug my phone in my bathroom and I don't sleep with it next to my head, so I don't look at my phone first thing in the morning. Those little bitty things that I've changed have added up to this momentum that is now in my life with my fitness, my faith, my family, my friendships, all of these things where I'm just like, I think there's 5 F's that I live by. Finance, yeah, that's it, yeah. So anyway, like,
I'm thinking of someone else.
I'm putting a full cup of water, like, at night next to my bed. So when I wake up in the morning, I drink a full cup of room temperature water, and then I journal every day, and I do that. And, like, I'm literally adding things. My mindset is, like, I'm going to add good things into my life until I get those into a rhythm. And then I'm going to add another good thing and another good thing. And now I find myself in this rhythm where people are like, how do you get these things accomplished? How are you sound so busy all the time, or you're always doing, and it's like, I'm the least busy I've ever been. I'm the most fulfilled I've ever been. My relationships are the strongest because I made those tiny little changes. And I think that we all look and we think we got to do social media. We have to be an accountant. We have to be a colorist. We have to be an audio engineer. We have to be an editor. And I just, small steps one day at a time. I'm in my 16th year filming weddings. And it's like, little by little, I've just gotten better and better and keep pushing and keep growing. And I would rather be that consistent thing instead of like pushing so hard so fast for a year and burning out. And that's how I found like sustainability in my work-life balance over time.
Good. Oh,
I'm gonna say one thing. I'm probably the least qualified person here to be talking about work-life balance. I think each of you should probably come up to me and tell me what I should be doing better. But what you said, Christine, about the difference between like the rubber balls and the glass balls, with the introduction of even like I've just been a single dude traveling the world, creating wedding films and like having a blast doing it. But I've seen, as I look back, and as you look back when you drop a glass ball in retrospect that it's already happened, I've seen the negative effects of that too, of like things with family, things with friends. I'll see on Instagram friends going and hanging out. It's because they've fostered relationships in the meantime that either I've been too busy mentally to think about, or I've just tangibly been somewhere else, with health and like not going to the gym and eating right and just going to McDonald's and stuff like that. I am learning now that I am dating somebody to, you know, and have a dog and all these different things that I know it's not like having a kid, but for me, having a dog was a big thing. And then having a girlfriend is a huge thing that's like new for me, even being at 30. And I'm just learning the beginning of like balancing things has been good. But I also want to say too, that having a season of grinding is good to push towards something that you want. Some of the best things in the world, the biggest things that have been done is because somebody sacrificed for that. And so not to discount anything that's being said, because that's what I'm working toward now. But as long as you're self-aware enough to know, hey, like this is a season that I'm going to grind because this is something I want and I want to work for, and this is like something I really want, then I say do that. But know that the potential of your slippery hands dropping those glass balls is going to become a lot more prevalent. And do it better than me, where I just was reckless abandonment and looked back and there was certain things. It wasn't tragic by any means. A lot of those glass balls, they're appearing more rubbery than they seemed in the moment. But I also just want to encourage you too, like if your goals, if you're really passionate about what you're doing, you don't have to just fit it in the 9 to 5. You can stay up till 3 a.m. grinding on your goals and doing that. But don't do it till you're 60 and look back and you've wasted everything. Like it took me 2 or 3 years to realize that, and then I'm correcting now. So that's all I want to say.
I just want to say yes, I agree with that fully. And there are some times whenever I think back on the times whenever there was one time in particular, I stayed up until 6 a.m. to make sure that a couple had a wedding by Christmas. And I look back on that with fondness. I don't really know why. But yeah, if that is truly where you're at, you can't compare someone who don't compare your life and what your needs are to someone who's in a completely different place in life and has completely different needs. If you don't have a dog, if you just moved to a new city and don't have friends, but are still trying to make them, those might be some rubbery glass balls. I don't know, but, it's a new element. But consider your place as well and know, well, I mean, I guess I don't have this right here, but like what I do have is this fun opportunity, and like go for fun. But just be careful because you might end up like this guy. So, we love him so much.
So I just got a really simple thing. Like for me, just taking email completely off your phone, work email, and turning off all the notifications. It seems so simple, but it makes the biggest difference, because when I didn't have that, I'd be like with family or with friends and I'd get a work email. I'm like, oh, this is an Iceland inquiry. And I'd be like, I can just squeeze away for 5 minutes and get this booked. And then you do that over and over and over again. Then 5 minutes turns to 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden you're like, I just got this really good idea for the edit I'm working on. I'm just going to go back to the office. So it's having those boundaries, and it starts with, hey, our phones are always in our pocket, which means our work is always right there. So create as many layers, no notifications, no work email. I even have I'll put the phone on grayscale if it's a weekend where I just don't even want to touch it. So I pick up my phone and I'm like, ugh, and I just put it back in my pocket. So just little things like that, they really help.
Nick and I have to tell you about one of our favorite places to upload our wedding films, and that is Love Stories TV. Love Stories TV is one of the best free resources for us wedding filmmakers. The best part is they are bringing the couples to us. All we have to do is upload our films and we are good to go. Upload unlimited wedding films to your completely free business page. Setup is easy and your films can be live in just minutes. Now is the perfect time to start uploading to Love Stories TV. So head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to check out all of the details and see how Love Stories TV is giving away $10,000 in cash to wedding filmmakers just like you. That's howtofilmweddings.com/lovestoriestv to start uploading and connecting with the right couples today.
One question that we see wedding filmmakers asking, what is the best site for licensing music? We have one answer, MusicBed. I have been exclusively using MusicBed since 2016, and our films are better because of it. I have been told during consultations that couples love our films because they feel raw, authentic, and that the music wasn't cheesy. MusicBed has a roster of incredibly talented musicians, bands, and composers who pour their hearts into their work, and you can hear the difference. Find the perfect song with MusicBed's intuitive search features like genre, mood, beats per minute, and key, which is probably my favorite of the search parameters. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed to do what I did and take your wedding films to the next level. Use promo code HTFW22 at checkout to receive 1 month free with the purchase of any annual subscription. That's howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed.
All right. Another question. Somebody else have one? So the question is, if you want to shoot weddings in different locations, what's a tip? What's something?
I mean, Stanton's in a lot of different.
This is my talk on tomorrow.
Wait tomorrow.
I would just say,
nugget.
Do it for free first. Offer to do it for free. Go on Google, type in Bali wedding planner, Cabo wedding planner, and just send them emails saying, hey, I'm going to be here this time, or I'm going to be here in July, and I would love to shoot a wedding. Be honest with them. Be a human and communicate and be like, I'm trying to expand my portfolio. Here are some of my wedding films. I haven't shot anywhere but Aruba, like in your case, which is like way better than like a lot of other places. So that's a head start right there. But I did it in Memphis, Tennessee, and I did that with Iceland. And again, I'm stealing my thunder for tomorrow. But 100 of those people didn't get back, or 99 of them didn't get back, but one did, and that's what sparked everything. And so it's just being willing to put money to the side at first and get the portfolio piece is what worked for me.
Great tip. I think we take one more question. One more question, Nick. It's somebody from the back. I saw it. Yeah, very back.
Share a great artist that you're stoked on. I mean, whether it's filmmaker or something else. So, anybody?
I'm
talking too much.
I've told like 3 people this already, but I've been finding a lot, just randomly stumbled upon a director's cut of Leon Bridges. It was like a full director's cut of how he just produced his most recent album, and it's on YouTube. Highly recommend. The entire thing is shot on film, and I think it is stunning. I think just cozy up, watch the 45 minutes. It's simple, it's beautiful, it's raw, it's wholesome. I found so much inspiration from watching that, and whether you're a Leon Bridges fan or not, you will be by the end. I promise. It's so good. So good. I want to watch it for a 3rd time.
Do it. Do you want art? Do you guys ingest art of any
I have a non-film inspiration. I feel like lately I've been trying to read a lot of books about creativity. Elizabeth Gilbert has some stuff. Big Magic is a great one. I sometimes will just be driving and just throw it on and just go to a random spot just to re-listen to it. Diving into books about creativity and inspiration and the different perspectives about it, the different ways that people approach it throughout history, the way that they have described it in different cultures, and things like that. I just feel like that has been my greatest inspiration right now lately, is just creativity as a whole. So.
Over the last month, I have watched 5 seasons of Lego Masters. I'm not joking, and I am very just having these people that have these challenges and they see the stuff that they create. Like, it's so I texted Kaylin the other day, didn't I? And I said, hey, I want to get good at Lego and get on Lego Masters, like, no joke. And he was like,
dude, preach it, man. Yes.
Do it. But seriously, like that, something like that, just seeing those people, it inspires me.
Like I feel like I don't have any talent with origination with my creation. I'm great at taking things and making them better, but I feel like some of my weakness area is starting from scratch. So finding Lego, like I'm great at reading a manual and just building on top of that, and I enjoy the process. Like Christine can make an amazing edit, and then I can take it to the next level or do something else. So I found areas that I've excel at, and I kind of empower myself in that area and try to lean into those aspects. I feel like for inspiration for me it hasn't been, like Christine said, it's been outside those realms of a visual cinema, and it's been more just play and natural day, and then we find little nuggets of different things throughout our days that we can pull in to inspire us and stuff too. So spending time with my daughter and listening to the things that she's learning and things that she's saying and how she's processing new information, and she's learning new words that she shouldn't be saying. And there's all these other different avenues of creation and story happening all around us. And I feel like we pull from that subconsciously sometimes into our films, and we're adapting that into our narrative. And I think it's really beautiful to always just be listening and being aware, and surround yourself with people that inspire you, and surround yourself with friends, because I feel like that all plays into your work-life balance as well. So for me, I don't really have anything at this moment in life that this director has inspired me, or this film, or this cinema or motion does, but I feel like the different aspects of life around me right now are inspiring health and are inspiring a good headspace, so that when I do approach my business, it's been in a good place for me, at least lately.
I feel like Kalen has definitely had moments whenever he's very excited. You see how excited he gets about things. He'll get really excited about. So I love that was your answer. But I want to add to that when we were driving over, TJ, is TJ still in here? He might have popped outside. Yeah. I felt very inspired by something that TJ said to me about, we were talking about the difference, how I was saying that I struggle sometimes with an unhealthy need for productivity. And we were talking about reading fiction versus nonfiction. And you said something about how sometimes in fiction you can find just the way that someone describes something, and how and then suddenly you're there, they're talking about the sunlight or the way that the leaves are, and then and the way that another person has been describing it and uses words to put that together to build that experience for you. And then when you show up and you start filming, you have this newly informed perspective on how this can be perceived. And I just felt like so inspired by that. I don't even think I reacted very strongly in the car, but I've just been thinking about how beautiful that is, and how you can be truly inspired outside of like there's so much beauty in the world through poetry, through filmmaking, through photography, and don't be scared to look outside of those, like what your actual art is, because there's so much to be found. So
I'd like to piggyback. Can I piggyback? Okay. Yeah, for me too, I've been inspired from being away from electronics, by putting away the distraction. And I feel like we live in a society that is so distracted and halfway in so many different places. And that's why I love things like Venture Workshop, where the cell phone service isn't great, and you can just turn your phone off and not get Wi-Fi, and that's on purpose. It's part of the drill. Yeah, it's part of the experience. But I don't know. I talked about this morning in our team meeting. My dad passed away 2 years ago yesterday, and I was flying in, and that was big. He was 62, a big part of my life. He was young. It was unexpected. And I remember when he was my age, very well. He was 26 when I was born, so I'm 30-something, 37. And I just remember when he was my age, and it wasn't that long ago. And it just made me, it rocked me for a while. And on year one of him, his anniversary of his passing, it was a really difficult, hard day. And yesterday, my wife, was like, "How are you doing? Are you okay?" And I was like, it's a beautiful day. I looked at it with a soft smile and a glimmer in my eye, and this. I just was like, this is I am so happy that my dad was my dad, and I'm inspired by the life that he lived and the legacy of things that he passed on. And one of my friends had his mom pass away, and he said it's kind of like when they pass away. I don't know if any of you guys have had a parent pass away, but it's like a book where you kind of forget all the stuff that wasn't that important, and all of the good stuff like comes to the surface. And I just remember all the good things about like my dad and what, the principles that stuck with me. And I'm looking now at my kids, and it made me want to be more present, because you just don't know if we have tomorrow. We don't know if we have, like, we think we're all going to live till we're in our 90s or we're 100 or whatever, but we just don't know. And so I get inspired. I've changed my whole outlook on all the things in the last 2 years, to where I was like, I'm kind of paying attention to my family, but I'm really on my phone too much, or I'm really distracted, and Nick would, attest to the fact that it's like I've changed my whole direction of life, so that I can be present with those people who matter the most to me, my 2 daughters, my wife, my family, my friends. And I'm inspired now, like, just by, reading, like, I'm very much into like reading the Bible in the last 3 or 4 months, of just like really going deep and reading and praying and taking time for walks, and like just having the time to wonder and the room for margin in my life has been the thing that, like, I just feel like we are so distracted that we don't allow for margin. And so for me, for inspiration, I have to have lots of margin. So I've been taking 30 minutes of walks a day. I've been setting these things in motion. And that's where, like, what I've just been doing lately is, like, I feel like the most present I've ever been. And I'm getting more done in those 7-8 hours of work than I would have done, with being distracted for 12 hours. I know that's a bunch of random around the way, but that's where I'm at right now, with like being inspired by the look on my kid's face when I make them laugh, or the thought of like handing a film to somebody knowing that they don't even know what it's like yet to lose their dad, but that moment with their dad is really important, more important than they realize. Like, I'm processing things through that all the time. And the beauty of these moments that we get to capture, these beauty of these families, and just looking at people's faces as they're reacting on the wedding day, and listening and being empathetic, and all of that has come from me taking the extra time to just have boredom and margin in my life.
My answer is more basic in regards to this. I'm very inspired by cinematic music, and I'm very inspired by really beautiful cinematography. Does anybody know the DP Paul Myers by chance? You ever heard of that name before? If you haven't, go look him up on Vimeo, go look up users and stuff. He actually uses a lot of Ryan Talbert's music, which I haven't actually said that name yet. But that's a composer that I really like that's on Music Bed. But he makes like commercial shorts and things, not like 1 minute things, but like 3 to 4 minute kind of things. Watch that. You'll be like oozing with motivation tomorrow when you go out. And it's not even like wedding related, but sometimes I'll watch those before I go shoot a wedding because they're so beautifully shot. And in that world, as far as I know, TJ, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like they have like colorists, and they got sound designers, and they got editors and all that different stuff. He's just the DP, but it's a beautiful concoction altogether of what's actually happening. I guess that happens in this world too. But and then on the music side, like, again, I love cinematic music. So like Ryan Talbert, Tony Anderson's Heart of Man album, I will listen to that album till the day I die. There is not an album on earth that resonates more with, I feel like, my soul than that. And by that resonating with my soul, it motivates me to go and do what I love. So yeah, that's my answer.
I'll give you another name here too. There's a guy, a filmmaker named Ryan Booth, and he's incredibly talented. Love him. Yeah, you know, TJ. Yeah, follow him on Instagram. Like, take out your phones and do it right now, for real. Ryan Booth. Okay, he's really
great. Don't be distracted by your phones. Right
he's fantastic, and he has a podcast. Everybody has a podcast, but he has one that's called The Process/Dispatch. Just came out, and he basically is interviewing a lot of directors. And it's cool because he did the interviews a couple of years ago, and it's all these directors that are like they're in the process of like directing these, trying to get into directing more, trying to direct more films. And in the past few years, all of them have blown up in really big ways. He interviewed the guy who did Everything Everywhere All at Once, just fantastic film. So good. Go watch that film. Incredible. And it's so cool because he got to interview the director like before he ever made that movie, or like was trying to just get in that direction. And so it's not wedding filmmaking, but if you're wanting somebody who's like very grounded, very down to earth, but also just like very humble and very creative, it's like, dang, his stuff is good. And I love it. So yeah.
Let's see. For me, it's been a steady diet of Daniel Tiger.
Yes.
And Bluey. Just the amount of inspiration is uncanny. You got to give it a shot. Yeah, I really got to carve out time because any cinema, it's, hey, Dad, let's watch Frozen for the 30 billionth time. I'm like, well, there's only so much I can take from this film. I'm really trying. That's what I'm doing wrong. I think for me, I really love Terrence Malick, the director. His stuff is just, I watch it and it blows my mind. Most of his films are shot all natural light, and it really, I can see a shot that he does and immediately take it into a wedding scenario because he just shoots that way. I also love Dennis, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's like Villeneuve. Yeah, what?
Is that it? Villanueva?
Something like that. Yeah, he directed Dune and Sicario and Arrival. Those films just rock my world. And Prisoners, I think. So those are two filmmakers that I'll watch that just really, really rock my world. And also reading. I love to read fiction, nonfiction, and Christine, like you were saying, just hearing how someone else sees the world and being like, oh, I can now see my kids in a different way, or that stream of light in a different way, or all these things, because really art is channeling how you see the world and trying to communicate that to other people. And so like in that vein, kind of like John said, I mean, for me, really, as a Christian, like the Bible just completely changes how I see the world and how I see marriage and how I see the purpose of life. And in my opinion, it's one of the greatest pieces of art ever written. It's crazy. Like if you really don't know anything about the Bible and look into it, the poetry, the way it's written, the way it all connects together, your mind will be blown. And so I take a lot of inspiration from that as well. And yeah, that's great.
That's great. Well, I think that was everybody on that one. We've been chatting for a while. I think we're gonna wrap up here. Do you have anything that?
No, I'm good. You can land the plane.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for just sitting in. I think you had to because you're here at Venture, and what else are you going to do? But
I think
thank
there's
you
a
all
few
for
people sleeping right now.
Yeah,
because it's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Thank you all for being a part of this live recording of the podcast. We appreciate you. We're so glad to be here and hang out with you. Thank you to all of our panelists for taking the time to just talk and share and hang out with us this week. Thanks for you guys listening on the interwebs. And until next time, we'll see ya.
See ya. Yeah.
Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films? Look no further. Our friends over at VidFlow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. VidFlow is pay-per-use with no large upfront costs or commitment, and you can cancel at any time. VidFlow offers a premium viewing experience for all of your couples, accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years of hosting and an experience for your couples that will blow them away. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/vidflow, where you can save 20% off a yearly business membership by using promo code HTFW20. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way. Give your couples something to rave about by using VidFlow.